We're making a 3-course menu on a budget with ingredients from Aldi. There'll be no crazy tools or techniques, only the basics, with the goal of keeping it under $10 per person. Pantry staples will not be purchased there, but will be added to the final food cost.
This isn't to make fun of Aldi, but to show you that you don't need to shop at expensive stores to make a quality meal.
The ingredients that stuck out to me were the asparagus, which happened to be on sale, tomatoes, ribeye, also on sale, some premium chocolate, and these eggs. The remaining ingredients: garlic, potatoes, onion, mushrooms, mustard, balsamic, white wine vinegar, cinnamon, milk, cream, and butter. For the first course, I wanted to make an elevated version of a caprese salad to mimic the flavor of expensive aged balsamic. Slowly reduce balsamic vinegar over low heat for 1 to 2 hours until it has slightly thickened and is balanced between sweet and acidic.
The long cook time helps cook out the acidity, balancing the flavor. But since this takes so long to make, I recommend you make this a day ahead.
We're going to make ricotta with 32 ounces of whole milk and 4 ounces of heavy cream. Add in a good pinch of salt and bring up to a simmer, 95 degrees Fahrenheit. You should see some bubbles coming up the side of the pot, then turn off the heat. Add in 1 ounce of white wine vinegar and stir in a figure 8 motion for 5 seconds. A figure 8 motion is the most efficient way to stir in a round pot or bowl. Let it sit for 5 minutes to allow the curds to set. Then ladle the cheese into a strainer lined with a filter or cheesecloth to separate the curds from the whey, which will allow the ricotta to be thick but still creamy.
Vinegar has a lighter flavor than lemon, which is traditionally used, giving you more options when you serve it. We're going to save the whey for the entree course.
After the 5 minutes, add to a bowl and season to taste with salt. If the ricotta is too stiff, you can add in a splash of cream, then store in the fridge. Next, we're going to make a simple tomato broth, which we call tomato water when I worked at the Modern. Quarter up the tomatoes and add to a food processor with some salt. Blend until everything is nice and pureed. The more you puree it, the better the yield. Pour this into a lined strainer to allow the clear tomato water to fall through. Then, season to taste with salt and set aside. The extra pulp can be added to tomato sauces.
Like the balsamic, this is best to do a day ahead. At minimum, it takes 6 hours. Ideally, overnight.
For the cherry tomatoes, place an X on the bottom. Then blanch them in salted water until the skins start to peel, about 10 seconds. Shock them in an ice bath to prevent them from cooking. Peel all the tomatoes, then quarter them. Season the tomatoes with salt, then add in a minced garlic clove, extra virgin olive oil, and a splash of white wine vinegar.
Let this macerate at room temperature for 15 minutes. The longer, the better.
To plate, mound up the tomatoes in the middle of the bowl. Add the balsamic glaze and a small drizzle of extra virgin olive oil. Make a quenelle of the ricotta. Once all the sides are even, wet one of the spoons, then transfer the quenelle to a wet spoon and place it in the bowl. Finish with tomato water.
Tastes just like caprese minus the basil, which is my one complaint with Aldi, the lack of herbs.
For the entree, we're going to be making a steak dish with asparagus, potatoes, mushrooms, and a mustard cream sauce. For the steak, place it on a rack over a sheet tray and season both sides with salt. Then place in the fridge.
Dry binding will give us an even seasoning, and with the help of the rack in the fridge, we'll have a dry exterior. Ideally, this will sit for 2+ hours.
For the potatoes, place them in a pot and cover them with the whey. If the potatoes are not fully submerged, cover them with water and salt, then bring to a simmer. Cook the potatoes until they are completely tender. Cake testers are the best tools for telling the doneness of most vegetables and fish.
They're around $1, and I'll have them linked in the description.
Drain the potatoes, then while they are still warm, peel off the skins with a paring knife. Use a bowl scraper,
also one of my favorite cheap tools,
to push the potatoes through a strainer. This will help you achieve a super smooth potato. Mix the potatoes with 6 ounces of butter, then thin with warm cream and season with salt. Store this in a deli container, and to keep warm, place in a pot with warm water over low heat. For the asparagus, snap off the ends, which will naturally break in the right spot. Cut the asparagus an inch below the tip. Then, place your paring knife in between the asparagus and the leaves, and bend it backwards towards the base until it snaps. Lightly press your knife underneath the tip and roll the asparagus to create a line. Flip the asparagus over, and using the paring knife, peel the skin for a soigné piece of asparagus.
Soigné is a term a lot of Michelin star restaurants use to say that something looks nice.
Bring a pot of water to a boil, season it with salt as well as an ice bath. Blanch the asparagus until tender, then shock and set aside. Take the woody pieces of the asparagus with the trim and just submerge them in the water. Then simmer them for 20 minutes to create an asparagus stock. Drain and hold off to the side. Thinly slice the asparagus stalks with 2 cloves of garlic. Heat up a large pan on medium heat with some oil. Add in the asparagus and garlic to the pan with some salt and saute. Add in a splash of the asparagus stock and cook until tender. Then cool in a bowl over an ice bath. Once the asparagus is cooled, add it to a blender with a splash of the asparagus stock and puree. Add in more stock as needed to blend. Then add in 15 grams of cold cubed butter and blend it till smooth. Taste for seasoning, then pass.
Most purees you want to blend while they're still hot, except for green purees because they'll turn brown. Adding fats like butter will help emulsify your puree, making it smoother.
For the mushrooms, wipe down the caps with a damp paper towel to remove any dirt. Trim up the stems so that they are all even, then slice the mushrooms. Save the trim for stock. Heat a pan on medium heat, then add in some oil, the mushroom slices, and season with salt. Cover with a lid until the water comes out of the mushrooms. Then cook until the mushroom liquid is gone. Add in an ounce of butter with a smashed garlic clove, then give them a flip, and cook until GBD, golden brown and delicious. Pull the mushrooms off to the side, then finish with a splash of white wine vinegar and taste for seasoning. For the mustard cream sauce, thinly slice a quarter of an onion with 2 cloves of garlic. To a pan, add some oil with the aromatics and season with a pinch of salt. Sweat the aromatics on low heat to prevent them from getting any color. Add in 1 ounce of mustard and cook for 1 minute. Then add in a splash of cream and reduce slightly. Add in 4 ounces of cold cubed butter, a little at a time. Once everything is emulsified, drain into a pot and finish with 1 ounce of mustard. Give it a taste and add in some salt if needed. Heat a pan, ideally cast iron, over medium-high heat. Add in some oil to the pan and place the steak in. Sear for 1 minute, then move the steaks around the pan to hit all the different hot spots. This will help create an even crust. Flip the steak over and do the same procedure. Turn the heat down to medium and cook until you hit an internal of 125 degrees Fahrenheit. Add in 4 ounces of butter with 2 smashed garlic cloves, basting your steak until it hits an internal of 125 degrees Fahrenheit. Transfer to another container and cover with the butter, resting for 5 minutes. Once rested, slice the steaks into 1-inch pieces. Warm up the asparagus puree in a pan, then place back into the deli container. Place the steak, mushrooms, and asparagus under a broiler on low heat for 30 seconds. Use a spoon, add the asparagus puree to the top of the plate. Then pull the tip of the spoon through the puree to create a line. Place 2 slices of steak and add 2 quenelles of Pommes puree. Garnish with asparagus and mushrooms. Then finish with the mustard sauce.
For the price, this was good steak, but from store to store, the quality varied. These mashed potatoes are perfect with steak, and this mustard sauce is so easy to make.
For the third and final course, we're making a chocolate souffle with a cinnamon anglaise.
When I was in college, I would make 3-course meals like this for my girlfriend / now wife, with this souffle as a dessert. They are cheap, easy to make, and taste amazing. Plus, she would always ask for them.
For the cinnamon anglaise, add 4 egg yolks to a bowl, saving the whites off to the side. Add 2 ounces of sugar, 3 grams of ground cinnamon, and mix. To a pot, add 4 ounces each of milk and cream and bring this up to a light simmer. Then slowly ladle this in to temper the yolks. Add everything back to the pot and cook on medium-low heat, stirring in a figure-8 motion. Once the anglaise has thickened to a sauce consistency and can coat the back of a spoon, which is called nappe, drain into a smaller pot, storing in a warm spot. For the chocolate souffle, butter 4 ramekins with softened butter, then brush upwards. This supposedly helps guide the souffles up to be nice and tall, and cut with sugar. Chop up 4.4 ounces of 85% dark chocolate, place over a double boiler and melt, then stir this off to the side. Into a bowl, add in the 4 egg whites plus 2 more egg whites with 6 ounces of sugar and add a pinch of salt. Whisk this over the double boiler until the mixture reaches 104 degrees Fahrenheit. Then in a stand mixer or an electric whisk on high until soft peaks form. This technique is called Swiss meringue. Add the meringue into the chocolate a third at a time. The first addition is a sacrifice to make it easier to fold in the rest. Fold in the second, and once all the white is gone, fold in the third addition of the meringue. As Moira would say, you just fold it in. The proper technique for folding is to move the meringue from the bottom up to the top like a wave. Once all the chocolate is evenly mixed in, add it into the ramekins and flatten the top with a palette knife. Use your finger to go around the edge. This will prevent the souffle from sticking to the edge. Place in a 375 degrees Fahrenheit oven for 12 to 15 minutes. Once the souffles are done, dust them with powdered sugar, place them onto a plate with a napkin, create a hole in the middle for the Anglaise.
Souffles have the best texture, and this one tastes like Mexican hot chocolate. This meal for the price was pretty good, and Aldi has some great deals if you know where to look.
Here's a breakdown of all the cost. What do you think this meal would cost in a restaurant?
Watch this video next to see the French Laundry's $4 annual Aldi.